Okay, so Ezra Klein did something really rare. He taped an hour and 12 hour and 15 minute podcast video. He went into a deep dive and he had a guy that was like he had slides. Okay, this is really different for the New York Times and for Ezra to do this, but it was a cool thing that brought us deeper into what people actually are thinking, what voters are thinking about the Dems and about Trump.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
you and you shared this with me, and you're going to roll us through some of this stuff. Um, there's been a lot of talk about messaging, and it's important. I mean, this is coming out of November, rethinking our messaging, both who the messengers are, what the message is, that kind of thing. Uh, the where we are today, let me say it this way, where Dems are today is in a place that cannot even think about messaging yet because they're in such disarray. Let me just say that all the actions of the Senate Dems and Chuck Schumer and the lack of unity between the House and the Senate makes it so that we can't even think about messaging coming from them. But you're saying we should actually focus on messaging on the left in general, progressives in general, um, news media organizations, organizers, and the part that I like a lot is door knockers, is folks that are door knocking and what kinds of issues or how do we talk about issues in a way that reaches folks in the middle on the other side.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're seeing people in these town halls that there's regular people coming up and they're messaging things to their Congress
Hmm.
people that are having viral moments, people on TikTok, people who are knocking doors, everyday activists, progressive media. There are a lot of lessons in this poll that Ezra Klein, he had a conversation with David Shore of Blue Rose Research, and they basically
Hmm.
did a post-mortem to discover what went on in the last election, but more importantly, also what are the vulnerabilities that Donald has right now? What are the highest polling issues that could impact him negatively? And they did it in a way that we can really dissect issue by issue so that we can arm all of ourselves with the information of what fights do we need to take on, what messaging does progressive media outlets need to pursue, and what can everyday activists just like blast to their Congress people? Because you're right. There's a few good messengers within the Democratic Party right now, not that many, but I think it seems to be more of a bubble up strategy. It comes from the
Yeah.
people, reaches them, and then they message that.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that. So let me pull
Okay.
this up. So this was a great podcast episode. I highly recommend everyone go listen to it. This part came at the tail end. And again, like Charles, like you said, it's a straight up, it was a slideshow. It was a presentation throughout
Yeah.
while Ezra was talking to David Shore. So basically, this slide here, the way to read it, it polls this group of people in January and says if Democrats say you should oppose Trump because, and then went down a list of different framing of messages, and then said how much would your approval of him be moved? And what we saw was Trump's disapproval move based off these messages here. So the top one was if Democrats say you should oppose Trump because he's making cuts. He's talked about making cuts to Medicare and Social Security, and
Hmm.
and he calls these programs entitlement. So basically, Medicare and Social Security top one moves Trump's disapproval 2.5%.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
then now when
It
you go down,
increases his disapproval.
yes, it
Yep.
increases his disapproval
Okay.
among this contingency of voters. So that's the highest one. And then surprisingly, not surprisingly, but the fact that this is above some of the others just shows this next one here, these Musk ones. So there's
Wait, hold on.
letting
So the ones below that. So like just real quick, because this is ACA and Medicaid,
yes.
and then tax breaks for the ultra rich. Just as like these, I just want to call those
Yeah.
out as like these like big buckets of things. And the
So
top
there's yeah.
one, it's the Social Security one that like that. It's Medicare and Social Security. These things that voters across the spectrum count on, right?
Exactly. So first top line is if Democrats are basically messaging against Trump on Medicare and Social Security, most effective. The next tranche of stuff is basically Elon Musk's creating chaos in the government and targeting Americans programs. And then the tranche below that is the ACA, Medicaid, higher costs, and then tax breaks. So, but to me, it was surprising that Elon stuff went above, and this could
Okay.
because of the date. This was January 20. This was the first week,
Yeah,
so it
this
was only a
okay,
week
okay.
in, and Musk's corruption was already above
Yeah,
slashing
so
Medicaid.
yeah, so that's interesting because he got to work immediately and he just jumped in and people were like, "Whoa, what the heck?" This is the part that this was not in the Project 2025 playbook. This is Elon Musk acquiring a corporation playbook, right? So, okay, so hurting Americans, slashing budgets, hurting Americans. What is this? What is in the hurting Americans one?
Yeah, let me, if I can move my thing up so
No
I can read it. So
oversight.
yeah, Democrats say you should oppose Donald Trump because he is letting Elon Musk slash federal budgets with no oversight, checks, or balances. And then
Okay.
it notes that Musk gave Trump 250 million to his campaign to advance
Oh,
Musk's interests, and then says even if those interests hurt Americans by cutting basics like Medicaid and public schools.
okay.
So it ties in everything, right? So it's like Musk has given what we've been talking about. This data basically quantifies what we've been
Yeah.
discussing about when there's an anti-corruption message here that implicitly targets their oligarchy and corruption and
Hmm.
self-interested democracy dismantling moves and ties it directly to them also cutting and targeting America's basic social programs.
Okay, and then privacy is at risk. Okay. These are really good. I think that this is right in line with what we've been talking about. Like we said, Elon probably has risen
Probably even more, yeah.
since those like the first 3 days of the administration. But it is what you would expect. So the things that are the foundation of so many older voters, Medicare and Social Security, and then just like basic things about American ideals, about schools and Medicaid and taking those things for your own gain, and then privacy. You know,
Yeah.
privacy is a huge deal amongst older folks who are just worried about technology sweeping in and sucking up all their data. This is huge. Okay.
Yeah, it's huge, and then right below that, the standard stuff, eliminating ACA, Medicaid, causing higher costs, higher premiums and insurance, and then giving tax cuts to the uber
Okay.
rich. So all that is sandwiched together. It's just like they've created a perfect recipe, doing the most unpopular stuff
Yeah.
possible, right here with Musk at the top, and then just quickly, just want to note right below that, which isn't highlighted, is imposing tariffs.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's
And
like you see,
that's
and
probably increased
yeah,
since then.
those all move Trump's disapproval up by over 2 points. And then so you have even down here, like even further, you look, it's more Musk stuff. It's
Hmm.
passing one party power grab to cut government services. Like it's just it all moves Trump's disapproval. And this was week one. Now we're 2 months beyond that almost. And
Yeah.
and it all approval numbers. I feel like this gives us more color to what the phenomenons we've already been seeing of the
Yeah.
moving disapproval numbers, because and also adds credibility to those who are calling for Schumer to pick that fight on that
Yeah.
government funding, because all of this is tied together. The tax cuts, the social program cuts are all tied with Musk simultaneously gutting the government.
Yeah, and I've been I don't know if I told you this, but I've been getting some messages of people like very upset with my stance on Schumer. And
Really?
I will not I mean there are also people very more people who are supportive actually. More people who are supportive. But for the first time, people are like, I am not happy with your language. And
Oh,
you know, my take on all of this is one, he should have fought and he didn't fight. And it's not a binary. People are like, this is why we should keep the government open. And that's not what I was saying. Like we should have gotten, and you said this even better. We should have gotten something for the vote. And we got zero. We got nothing. We could have asked for concessions on any of these things.
yeah.
Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, all that stuff, tariffs. I mean, we could have asked for whatever, and we asked for nothing. We asked for nothing. No deal was made. We just gave in. Um, and then there's some rumors that like Schumer got something. Schumer got something. Like, why would he just cave like this? He probably got something, which
Mm.
just turns my stomach. Uh, So looking at this, I just want to put just a brief pitch in here. If you are a Common Power volunteer and you're knocking on doors and you're hoping to reach people at the door, as we will be doing in Wisconsin and in Florida on, what's going on in this country, these are things that are going to be effective at doors. Talking about Medicare and Social Security, number one, right? Because this cuts across it cuts across how people voted. Cuts across social lines of all kinds of differences. People need, especially older folks who are not working, they need Social Security and Medicare. And this is going to be one of the most salient things. Elon in general is going to be something that you're going to be able to talk about to anybody in America
Yeah,
about a lot. So just these are good points. This entire episode is worth watching just to get our episode, but I mean this episode of the
of
Ezra
course.
Klein show is worth watching just to get in your brain these talking points, and so that you better understand what the specific kind of narrow view of things are that quote unquote regular Americans think about. I think folks who regularly ingest political content and are well read on this thing, there's this wide range of things. Like what you don't see in here is Ukraine, right? Or Gaza, right? You don't see these things in here. And these are all things that political people have opinions about. You don't see things in here about housing or student loan forgiveness or something like that. So
Exactly.
watching this and paying attention to these top level things will make you a more effective conversationalist as you're trying to get through to a voter at a door.
Exactly. Or even just your friends or someone you disagree with,
Yeah.
you bring these up. And another thing a couple of things I want to note on this is these are all things that impact people directly, right? So it's like it also shows, people are arguing, they say Kamala talked too much about democracy or people talk about institutions. But the thing
Mm.
is, it shows these are effective and like the ways we've all been communicating about it, there's an effective way to communicate about these authoritarian threats in a way that directly ties them to direct impacts on Americans. Right
Yep.
here, when you're talking about Elon slashing budgets and the power grab, you're doing it in conjunction with their dismantling governments that are impacting your governments. They're dismantling agencies that are impacting your government services. They
Hmm.
are they're trying to give themselves tax cuts while cutting Social Security. Like you tie all these together, and it showcases that kind of kleptocracy. You don't have to use that word, but that kleptocracy at the top of these people doing things in their own self-interest that directly negatively impact Americans. So that's what
Yeah.
I think is one of the big lessons here is talk about the authoritarian threat, but every time you mention it, simultaneously mention how that is hurting everyday Americans. And I also want to note one more thing. All these percentage points, I believe Trump won by what?
Yeah. Yeah.
1.25%, right?
That's
All
right.
of these
That's right,
are
man. This is all
bigger
above the
than
margin of
Trump's
victory.
margin.
That's
All of
great.
this movement on all of these issues. And again, Trump doesn't have to run any more elections, but House Republicans do. And so does JD Vance or whoever the Republican nominee is going to be. They're going to have to inherit the havoc Trump leaves behind, just like McCain had to inherit what Bush left behind, and he got absolutely walloped. So, what I'm trying to say is, there's still hope here. I know he's gonna do a lot of damage, but elections still exist. And with Trump overreaching, which there's another episode we did on him overreaching, getting slapped by the courts that you can check out. But simultaneous overreach with doing all these unpopular initiatives, it gives room for them to get politically shellacked over the next 4 years. And then hopefully we can recover some of what was lost.
Way to bring back a word from the Obama era, man. Shellacked. Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
want to get shellacked, okay?
no, you
You
don't
don't
want to
want to
get
get
shellacked.
you don't want to get shellacked. That is a classic political drubbing, and that's right. Bring back shellacked. You know what? That should be on
Let's
the
shellac
signs.
them.
Shellac,
Like just put it on
shellac
the,
'em.
make that be the slogan.
I
Make it be the slogan. Let's shellac
Now
them. Put it on
now you're onto
billboards.
something. Let's shellac them.
Yeah.
I need to make a protest sign. We're gonna bring that to the protest tomorrow.
Yeah, let's lose all
Shellac
the Gen
them.
Zs. Let's shellac 'em.
The Gen Zs would wear that T-shirt, ironically,
Probably. Oh yeah, true, true.
With like Obama in a tan suit, you know,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
being
yeah.
like shellac them. Uh, okay. All right. This is good stuff, man. Good stuff.
All right, great. Yeah. So yeah.